Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Meißner. I'm a head of technology in TUI, and this session is about our journey, how we tamed our internal and our external developer portal and its developer experience. I hope I can present you some of the decisions and the challenges we have seen along our way, and maybe this can inspire you. It can maybe answer some of your questions if you maybe just started the same journey or even are like us somewhere in the middle. So what does it mean working at TUI? So we are recognized as one of the most leading tour operating travel, let's say, business groups. We own 5 airlines, we have hotels, we have cruise liners, we do a tours and activities business. But we are hopefully not just recognized as a travel company, but also somehow have a big community of technology and IT experts. So hopefully we are also recognized as a digital development company inside the travel company. And I'm really proud to be part of that and present, let's say, our IT divisions here. Why do we believe developer portals are so important to us, but maybe also most of the other engineering communities? So there is a set of basic runtimes, foundational layers, be it your cloud platform, be it platform as a service like Kubernetes runtimes. So everything that is compute and storage. And on top of that, you mostly bring your own API platforms, integration layers, as we are on the API days. But of course, there's data platform, there's analytical systems. And all of that hopefully be combined into a good set of developer experience tools and processes. So means source code handling, source code repositories, quality measures, development and deployment pipelines. So on the other side, we have those independent, smaller, feature-driven, value stream-aligned teams that are searching and providing, let's say, business value. So, and our developer portal and developer portals in general, we believe are the heart and the brain to bridge and bring those two worlds together. So you have the drive of standardization and reuse on the platform side, but you have also the need for differentiation, for competition, let's say, in your development teams. And somehow those kind of requirements contradict each other, but not necessarily the development portal could bring those together. So it's your central cockpit somehow, your central connector for both of those worlds. That's how we implement it, and that's how we feel developer portals support us in that journey. And why do we do this? Of course, happy developers mean we get better code, we get more code in less time. So easier and faster, let's say, delivery to the customers. So now how we started on that journey. So first was, okay, we want to set up, let's say, an MVP case. And we tried to target really focused on the developer persona. So we use persona mapping techniques and identified, okay, we do have an internal developer persona and an external developer persona, call it David and Alan. So, and both of them, let's say, have quite similar starting requirements. So providing them good documentation, having an API catalog for discovery, also a meaningful set of self-service for app subscription handling, credential management, and those kind of things. And we also wanted, let's say, this kind of KPI and quality measures. So summarizing the requirements. So we wanted to start hopefully with a commercial ready-to-go product without implementing too much. We want to get over those kind of brittle exchange of specifications or even API credentials, API keys via mail, sending up new versions via mail, and then people get confused how to use what is now the change, but also provide, let's say, meaningful guidelines for things like onboarding, security best practices, and also how to technically integrate. So all the things, FAQs, that people always ask along the way to make it easier, let's say, to start. But also, as said, roadmap, documentations, what is the versions, what changed inside the versions, but also maybe what is considered to be deprecated and functionality that will lost over time. So make it really transparent to users of the APIs what they can expect. Also, API ownership information, how to contact someone, raising questions, raising tickets, what is the SLAs they could expect from that. And as said, last but not least, discovery, what is available at all. And with the KPIs, we also saw that technical maturity is something that we really need to improve. So good API designs, API design guidelines is something that we wanted to measure. We wanted to highlight this in the initial developer portal to give teams easy feedback on what are the things they should improve. With that, we started our journey. And as said, the external developer is mostly focusing, or our use cases are mostly focusing on increasing efficiency, so scaling with the partners, by providing more self-service, easier self-service, and of course, a lot of marketing use cases. For the internal developer, it is a lot about that time to market, time to customer. And of course, as said, increasing maturity through more standards and better standardization. This is the first developer portal. It's mainly an internal API catalog that we started our journey with. And of course, as time flies by, we iterate and evaluate things. We saw, okay, there's some evolution on our approach, that there's also drifts, let's say, on what we wanted to achieve. So one of the good things was that this initial MVP showed us we can fulfill our basic requirements, and we can use a commercial off-the-shelf solution that our supplier, Pronovix, provided us. But, and also we could, let's say, with that, implement those common use cases. So requirements like the catalog, like good documentation, it's easy to use, implement, and also has really low maintenance efforts for us. So providing good value, let's say, for reasonable costs. But we have seen, let's say, there's things that didn't work as we, let's say, initially drafted those use cases. So we saw that internal and external documentation needs are different, that teams really want to expose different parts of their documentation, that they maybe have different, let's say, life cycles. So internal adopters start earlier with maybe versions still in testing, while those external versions are a little bit more strict. So we also saw that maintaining and keeping a custom developed kind of KPI dashboarding solution is not cost efficient. So moving that into our general KPI monitoring solutions was, let's say, quite more straightforward, as we could, let's say, use that and easily adapt that to the changes of KPIs and how we want to measure them. So that also moved out of scope. And we haven't really considered, let's say, the full, let's say, range of self-service that we would like to achieve. That subscription management only was really a small part. And how we now deal with things like templating, like CI/CD integration, and also how we do this continuously, so to reflect changes back to the developer portal, but also maybe to issue improvements over and via the developer portal, as we still envision that is our central go-to place. So we also recognized that our software development cycles are, and they will stay TUI specific. So we are TUI, we are not any other software supplier or software company. So And that is for a reason. Maybe it's even from a business perspective valuable for us to have our own and specific software development processes. So we need to be able to adopt our tool sets to our needs, but not, let's say, let our tools dictate how we want to do software development. We can leverage a lot of SaaS-based solutions, especially, let's say, startup solutions for software development, a lot of, let's say, cool feature, new tool sets, but all of them or most of them come then with their own UI. And now how can we integrate back that central developer portal that we envisioned initially? How can we get back that central cockpit? But mostly, one of the things we discovered is that our user stories for an internal and an external developer are really reasonably different. So they don't match. Why should we, let's say, then try to harmonize the tool sets if, let's say, even the user stories don't really match? And another point is, I would recommend you to do that kind of exercise. So go provide user story maps. You can use things like volume mapping or the jobs to be done framework to identify your needs, because that helps you to drive then those strategic decisions. And for us, the question was, okay, how many portals do we really need? Is it that one holy portal that we want to build? Or is it even, let's say, a multitude of different things like API catalogs, event catalogs, registry, inventory tools, incident control, workflow systems for approval topics? And yeah, the simple answer is, at least we should have two tools. One that covers all our internal developer needs. Still, we should maintain our external developer portal, because that has proven to be reasonable for this bounded use case of being a marketing and a very lean self-service approach for our partners. So the idea is, okay, we try to have an internal and external portal and try to focus building the best user experience for those both. We still not completely answered how we now do and what we should do for the internal portal. For sure, there are things like the catalogs that could come and should come out of the portal, things like maybe a knowledge base and the registry. There's others like a data catalog or an inventory where we maybe synchronize data into the portal. Maybe we integrate data just by APIs during the runtime. So having kind of real-time search or real-time integrations, but maybe also other systems where we then can issue and start processes, workflows by APIs. On the other side, our approach always was everything as code. So means everything is somehow configurable or, let's say, processable while using our CI/CD pipelines. And by integrating then the internal developer portal into our software lifecycle with the CI/CD pipelines and its code base, we could reuse, let's say, the same level of automations, let's say, with our developer portal. So which really was a beneficial approach for us. So to the rescue came Backstage for us, the Backstage project. Backstage was open source by Spotify, let's say in March 2020, then contributed to CNCF, has a small core with all the corresponding, let's say, software development life cycles around it. So you can already, let's say, explore things by example. So it does not only gives you the framework, but also, let's say, initially how to best use then all the tools. Has, again, let's say, an entity resource definition as code. It is based on the Kubernetes CRD format, YAML file configuration, an easy scalable backend, but also front-end component. The front-end, luckily, is really highly customizable with using React. And brings beneficial things like a templating engine, but also a documentation, a Docs as code framework. And it already has like a gazillion of plugins, so-called extensions. Yeah, so by using those plugins, or even as it is open source, you can easily, let's say, fork a plugin for a component that is maybe you might have a cloud provider that is not supported yet, but you can adopt that by using one of the existing plugins. Of course, there's an increasing and super vital community around, but also there's a lot of software supplier, vendors that then provide plugins for their own software and own components that you then later could use. So there's an increasing set and ecosystem of integrations that we could leverage and build around our software lifecycle tool sets. So Backstage helped us really to build and implement our own internal developer portal by providing the basic capabilities that we wanted, and also synchronizing them back to the other external systems that we have to really build that central cockpit view. What you should consider when adopting and using Backstage is like all, or let's say this way, all development tools that you would like to use needs to integrate the same way into, let's say, the internal development portal as you do with all other services that you want to integrate in your service landscape. So it needs constant integration of those development tools. Means your central platform teams shouldn't just be like platform engineering resources focusing on automation. You should really have central development teams that maintain and further develop and integrate your development tool sets, your development stack. The additional benefit of using developers, let's say, maintaining your development tools is, of course, they much better understand what is the developer's need. So providing you a better landscape and ecosystem. Also, a project like Backstage has an incredible space of innovation and change. And you need to keep up. You need to be prepared to keep up. You need to continuously invest. You cannot just, you can take a product, let's say, like Backstage, and don't, let's say, change and customize at all. You won't get much of the benefits, but on the other side, there's still, as it is really speeding up, there's still breaking changes, and you need to prepare adopting to those. But also there is metadata that benefits, let's say, you to have it inside the model of Backstage, so inside the catalog and inside the central core. And there's things that maybe are too expensive to always synchronize and always, let's say, build and implement models in that core system. So you need to balance, you need to differentiate. Things that, for example, have relations to that central capabilities and central entities are maybe worse to model because you can use them for discovery. You can, let's say, graph dependencies to resources that you can discover in real time without, let's say, always maintaining YAML file configuration. But there's maybe other things that where you use the internal portal just as a kind of UI component. Still, this is easy to do and does not need, let's say, much changes on the backend part. Yeah, so it can still give you the central cockpit without needing to remodel all of the data that is in your ecosystem. Again, target and if necessary, adjust, and you need to explain a lot. You need to evangelize and go around and tell people what you're doing. So what is it now specific for APIs? So we have, let's say, our own API lifecycle that is adopting a bit the model, the proposal that, for example, came from the Postman team. I really like the idea to model, let's say, like the DevOps Infinity. So I think it's a nice, understandable picture having API producers on the one side, API consumers. They both, let's say, intersect and need to sync in their life cycles. And we, let's say, promote and we highlight what is the different phases inside the life cycle, what is the deliveries that we expect from the teams, but also what is the standards and principles they should follow in each of those phases. And we saw that this life cycle, for example, is really benefits really from the internal portal. So there's a lot of steps, a lot of interactions and integrations for the internal portals to multiple phases in the life cycle. Of course, this mostly adopts to the producer side, because that is what software development many times is about. But also, let's say on the consumer side, in the discovery phase, there's a lot of benefits, because you can treat APIs like any other kind of entities, like any other catalog item. And we also saw we can still continue promoting our external portal, let's say for marketing purposes and for that lean self-service. So on the tool side, we then identified a lot of those tools that are part of those different life cycle. And step by step, we decide, okay, what is worth to really now natively integrate or use some of the existing integration plugins towards Backstage. So the idea is to now take the life cycle, the common life cycle that we have, and extend it so we get more transparency and more integration to the portal, better self-service to use all those different tools in a very consistent and easy way. So easy templating and deployment mechanism via the pipelines. So in the matter of time, there is some demonstrations that I prepared, let's say, how this code creation could work like. So you can maybe take a look, because it's quite interesting using a template-based mechanism and then treat that code and treat documentation, for example, as part of the code, to use it to constantly and consistently, let's say, have your documentations, just following, let's say, your software development lifecycle. So everything is consistently updated. As you change the code base, you can change the documentation, and the change is reflected in real time, let's say, on the developer portal. With that, I would like to end my session. Thank you very much. And is there any question or something you would like to know, then reach out to me. And have a nice day at the API Day.